Welcome, everybody. This is our first episode of Wind Up Wednesday. I wanted to come with you every Wednesday evening with another tip on how to build your LegalShield business. And I'm doing this right alongside of you. It's not something that I've mastered. It's something that I'm learning and growing as I go. If you don't know me, again, my name is Chris Ward. I make my home in Golden, Colorado. You're with me in my home office right now. And I've been with the company since 2007. So, yes, over 18 years building my LegalShield business, mostly part time. And today I want to talk about the most critical factor in building any successful business, which is client acquisition. And I think that the challenge with the direct sales industry as a whole is that if I ask people to share with me how they acquire new clients, a lot of them have a challenge really describing that. And it needs to be a clear written part of your business plan. And so we're going to break through strategies on how to attract, convert, and retain LegalShield members. So let's get started. So why is it that client acquisition matters in the first place? Well, every successful associate builds consistent client acquisition habits. Now, part of our 10 core commitments that you hear about is doing 2 exposures per day. Now, you're not going to build a massive business just exposing 2 people a day to our services and or the opportunity. But when you're doing that consistently and recruiting others to do the same, you could see how that type of exposure could exponentially grow. And we're going to talk about some other ways to do that besides word of mouth. There's predictable new enrollments. So a lot of people don't realize is that there is a clear number, a ratio that appears after you've done so many exposures and taken people through the sales cycle, which we'll talk about in another video. You will see a predictable income that you can be able to share as a part of your business plan. And LegalShield's subscription model thrives on acquisition and retention. So it's really important not just that we attract new members, that we sell them properly on what we offer. And we're going to talk about value proposition here in a moment, but retaining them long term. So most people don't even know who their ideal client. And I want you to know is that every single LegalShield associate is going to have a different ideal client. More than likely, you are your ideal client. So whatever demographic you already fit into, more than likely the people that you surround yourself are similar to you, whether that be in age group, in hobbies, in social groups. So if you are already a happy member, it's more than likely that the people that look like you are going to. Does that mean that that's all you reach out to? Absolutely not, right? But here is what I have identified as part of my ideal client. And I've actually created an ideal customer avatar, which again, we will share in a subsequent video. Typically, our members are between the ages of 25 to 55. They're professionals in real estate, finance, technology, engineering, or medicine. Most of my members are entrepreneurs. They're self-employed, small business owners, gig workers, and members of families. So one of the things that we're going to do in a subsequent video as we create that ideal customer avatar is we're going to create 3 avatar profiles that match your top prospects. And this is going to be important for our marketing and advertising campaigns. So LegalShield's value proposition. A lot of people say, well, why would I pay a monthly fee if I never use an attorney? And I absolutely understood that. Prior to LegalShield, I wouldn't have thought to call an attorney for a lot of situations that arise. So having affordable, unlimited legal consultation across all 50 United States and 5 Canadian provinces is invaluable. So a lot of people we see, especially since the advent of social media, where they're just jumping online and asking legal questions on social media, hoping to get a legal response. But what are they actually getting? They're getting opinions from friends, families, or even more dangerous, a lot of times just complete strangers that are just sharing their opinions. We also offer 24/7 emergency legal access. So, in the event of a qualified legal emergency, right, that means you're being questioned, detained, arrested, Child Protective Services is knocking on your door or wanting you to talk to your children at school, you will have 24/7 access in the event of a legal emergency. Then we have identity theft services. ID Shield provides not just identity protection, but we actually provide identity restoration. So you can use this quote, access justice without breaking the bank, keeping a law firm in the palm of your hand. Now, there's 5 major acquisition channels that we're going to discuss. First is our direct sales and networking. This is what we teach: one-on-one presentations and community outreach, doing presentations in front of groups of people. Then there's the second one. Our favorite is social media marketing. These are people that want to leverage the social media channels primarily because it's free, right? You want to create consistent educational story driven posts across several social media marketing channels. The ones that I typically reference most because it's important for your Google search engine optimization. Yet again, another training. As a matter of fact, if you click on the link above, you'll see my training on leveraging Google to build your LegalShield business. But the ones that I primarily focus on is just that. So your Google business profile, now solely in Google Maps, you want to have that, of course. You also want to have a Facebook business page. You want to have a LinkedIn business page. And then leverage your personal. So don't use your personal Facebook and Instagram for your business purposes. Create business pages in each of those, tie those into your Google page, and that way you have a full cycle of social media and Google search to be able to get people to learn about who you are, what you do, what LegalShield does, and potentially be customers and or associates. Then there's automated email campaigns and text campaigns. So we teach all of our associates that we have a prospect by LegalShield that you can put somebody, take a contact, put them in there, and then put them into an email campaign to educate them about our legal plans, our small business plans, our identity theft plans, and or the business opportunity. We also look for associates to gain leverage through partnerships and events. So there's realtor associations, there's chambers of commerce, there's business expos. Now, I ask all new associates, in particular, if this is something that they're new to, is don't pay to attend any event as far as having any table. If somebody offers you to set up a LegalShield table at an event, I would suggest do that at free at first until you learn or develop a skill set of working those tables. As an example, I have a small business that is at one of our group accounts. They have a health fair this next week on Thursday morning. Now, I don't plan on selling a lot of LegalShield there, but it's a great opportunity to develop relationships with those employees and get in front of them what it is that LegalShield offers. But first, you need to find a hook point. We need to get them over to the table, get them talking to you, and then typically that falls by the way of either a raffle prize or some small gift, or just have them fill out a quick, 1-minute quiz. Those are all opportunities. Again, that training we're going to postpone for yet another one. We're just talking about what the different acquisition channels are. And then referrals. Incentivize happy members and associates to refer other people. I love the direct sales industry because it kind of has built in this referral bonus program. So when people refer you business, they can earn cash direct deposit into their account 24 hours after a membership processes. But not everybody wants to be an associate. So what I talk to people about who do not want to actually build a LegalShield business is becoming a referral partner. They're still enrolling as an associate, but I'm not pushing the traditional 10 core commitments of attending a weekly briefing, attending a regional event, attending your annual conference. But when you can create these relationships with people, and maybe somebody doesn't even want to do that, by all means, get a stack of thank you cards, buy some Starbucks gift cards, for $10 each. And when somebody does refer you business, send them a thank you card with a Starbucks, because when referrals are rewarded, they're going to keep you top of mind when those opportunities present themselves. And that's the most important aspect of building a LegalShield business, is staying top of mind when legal issues arise, when identity theft issues arise. You want to be there, but you want to be a connector first. Now you want to make sure this is another skill set that we're going to work on developing is mastering the conversations because you want to lead with curiosity, not pressure. I've always asked people conversations, about what's going on in their life. And typically within the first few minutes, they're going to give me an example of how they could use an attorney. But I don't jump on those opportunities. If they're saying, hey, tell me how old your kids are. Well, I've got, one kid who's already in college and another that's leaving for college, right? Now that opens up a whole world of legal situations that have arisen because they have the two. For one, is do they have their estate planning devices in order? Do their kids have their estate planning devices in order? But I don't jump on it as soon as they bring that issue up. I continue the conversation and develop a real story and then use a testimony about how somebody had used, or yourself. Better is you using yourself if you got your own testimony. Use a testimony about how you use LegalShield to help them with a problem that they're facing, even if they don't know that it's a problem yet. If they're interested, we're going to invite them to take a look at a brief video, which you can plug them into through the Prospect by LegalShield. And so, what I want you to do is practice your 30-second value intro. When people say, well, what is it that you do? I don't jump into, I hate the word elevator speech, words, elevator speech, but you have to be able to answer when somebody says, what is it that you do? I want you to practice this value intro. Say, listen, have you ever needed to use an attorney, but you didn't because you thought one would be too expensive? Well, that's what I do. I provide individuals, families, and businesses with an affordable way to gain access to an attorney without breaking the bank. Would, if you'd be interested, I'd love to send you some information. And that's it. Some of them are like, no, I'm good, thanks. But most people, I just had a conversation yesterday. I was talking to a gentleman and he was talking about how his sister and his mother, how her health is failing, and he's concerned about her estate because there is no estate plan there's no estate plan in place. And so I simply just shared, hey, I just changed my life insurance paperwork, and I had some other business situations come up, so I had to update my estate plan. I was able to do it at a very affordable rate. If you'd be interested, I'd love to send you some information. He said, absolutely. And it's funny is that I almost forgot to send him something. He actually texted me, said, hey, I haven't got that email yet. So clearly, this is something that's very important to him. And just from that 30-second value intro, I've now got somebody that I've put into prospect who's going to continue to get dripped on. And then after they become a client, I'm going to keep them into the retention campaign as a member. Now, the social media strategy is about being consistent. Now, if somebody's not using Facebook or LinkedIn, I don't want them to start a new one today because they're not going to use it. I can't tell you how many associates that decide that they're going to launch and use social media, but they're not using social media anyway. If you're not using it anyway, this is a waste of time. Social media, and I tell people, is more of a waste of time than it is a big business builder. However, if you are somebody who's consistently leveraging social media, whether that's for business or personal, you can educate people. You can post about empowerment, about your lifestyle, and sharing how team members in your organization have won. This is just a way to attract people to who you are and what you're doing. And you want to use relevant hashtags with your social media outlets, again, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Now, I absolutely love using short videos because you can share a quick legal tip. Now, here's one caveat I want you to know. Always, if you're going to share a legal tip, you have to say, I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. Because you never want to be misunderstood as providing legal advice without being an attorney yourself. That's called practicing law without a license, and you can get in a lot of trouble for doing that. But sharing quick legal tips about how you used Legal Shield or providing success stories, like, I use this one frequently. Last winter, I'd got a bill on my door from the city of Golden saying that I had failed to shovel my snow on the sidewalk that day. Well, the challenge is that there was no snow. It had already all melted away. So I took a photograph of my sidewalk, same day that the ticket is posted on my door. And I looked up the city ordinance according to the ticket, and according to the city, that within 24 hours of a snowfall, I have to shovel and have no more than 1 inch of snow on my sidewalks. I called the city of Golden. They said that I'm still responsible for the ticket. I called my law firm. I scanned over a copy of the ticket. They wrote a letter to the city of Golden suggesting that they provide evidence showing that I had in excess of 1 inch of snow on my sidewalks. As we can all believe, they did not have any evidence to suggest otherwise, and they had to rip up my ticket. Now, it was only a $30 ticket, but prior to Legal Shield, I never would have thought to call an attorney on a $30 issue. Why? Because it would have cost $300 just to get an attorney to write a letter, and it might not have solved anything. So, that is an example of just a really quick example of a success story leveraging my membership. And then start a weekly, just like this, where I have Wind Up Wednesday, because I want you to wind up your business. I want you to implement something that you're going to learn today for the remainder of your week. So maybe Legal Tips Tuesday, or like we call it, Small Business Saturday. Create a weekly schedule so that you're consistently posting on your social media accounts. Email and text nurturing. So automated follow-ups with educational content. If everything that they get from you is a sales pitch, you're easily not only going to get deleted, but you're probably going to get unsubscribed. And you don't want that. You want people to receive messages that they feel like they're getting value out of it. You want people to look forward to your emails and not delete it. I've got a lot of people where I love their content. I just don't have time to get to it. So I don't delete it, but I make sure that it's still sitting there unread so I can come back and look at it at a later time. Now, very important is that people don't necessarily can't wrap their mind, because most people got signed up for Legal Shield or ID Shield for one issue, and that's it. So when you're sharing testimonies and case results from other people using the plans, now their minds open up to all of the possibilities that Legal Shield and ID Shield can answer. So they may not have thought that this covers family law. They may not have thought that this covers tax law, even though you initially told them in the presentation. The only thing that they hear when they listen to our presentations is what's in it for them. They're listening for those key words that connect with whatever issue they currently have going on, which is really important. Why to make sure that you're constantly asking questions throughout your presentation if you're doing one-on-one or two-on-one. Always link to so you always want to have a call to action. So you always want to link your enrollment page or have a QR code that's attached to your website. And if it's not something, there's some free sites that you can actually create a QR code. And I have that. Folks, I learned one thing when we were still just handing out physical collateral, brochures and magazines and DVDs. You always had to have your name, your contact number, and your website on that collateral, because you never knew where it ended up. A lot of times I had new members and associates that didn't come from me handing them information. It was because the person I handed to left it in a left it in a barber shop, and then somebody else came in and picked it up, right? That's how. So you want to make sure your contact information is on all collateral that goes out the door, even digital collateral. Don't send out a brochure to anybody that doesn't have a way for them to contact back to you. And you want to look at the aim for your open rate on your emails, about 25 to 35%, which is amazing, by the way. If you're hitting those kind of numbers, you need to teach the next class on how to get that kind of open rate on emails, because typically mine's around 5%, to be honest. Partnerships and referrals. So collaborate with professionals who are already serving your audience. So my Rolodex is full of, as I make sure every insurance professional I know is in my Rolodex, because if somebody says, "Hey, I need a home insurance policy," I know without a shadow of who to refer them to immediately. Right? If they are in B2B sales, perhaps they work in IT. I have a company that I work with just so that, because all of their clients are small businesses. So I want to be able to refer them, but I also want to be referred by them. And so that's making sure that we do that. Offer lunch and learn events. Now, you want to make sure, when I be very careful on the co-branded webinars, all right? You want to lead with Legal Shield. Sometimes if I'm at a live event, I may introduce another professional that'll share a little bit about who they are and what they do. but you want to make sure that the bulk of what you're offering is that you're sharing the Legal Shield services and or opportunity. You don't want to muddy the waters with incongruent things. Like I've seen people selling jewelry at a Legal Shield business opportunity overview. Those two products don't really meld well and can muddy the waters. So don't do that. Encourage members to refer friends for rewards. Let them know that, hey, this is my reward system. There's Legal Shields, uh, the money that you can earn by becoming an associate, but here's also the rewards that I offer my referral partners. So have your own system for making sure that you know how to do that and put that in your business plan as well. A happy member becomes your best marketer. I have another video that I actually talk about how you want to get 1,000 raving fans. That is your target goal for how many people you want that are not just card carrying members, but screaming Legal Shield from the hilltops. When you hit that number of raving fans, I know it's not a lot of people, but you will see a massive growth in your business if you have that many people, not necessarily members and associates, just people that are screaming your name from the rooftops. So look for that. Now, the most important, I've learned this from my upline support team member, Miss Kai Deering, Millionaire Club member. She always talk about a fundamental understanding of numbers and then tracking your metrics. So as we talk about either free or paid ways to acquire clients, you want to track your metrics. Look at cost per lead. You want to look at your customer acquisition cost. You want to look at your conversion rate, because I think that there's three ways, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because I think that there's I tell people that there's three major ways that we get clients. There's word of mouth. That's your warm market. This is what every sales position will ask a sales associate to do right out of the gate, is tell your friends, family, and neighbors what it is that you do. Now, the point is not to sell your friends, family, and neighbors. We just want to educate them on what it is that you're doing, so that if somebody they know that could benefit from your services, they know how to refer to you, right? That's word of mouth marketing or referral marketing. And it is infinitely more impactful than your traditional advertising. I think a lot of people want to go with like billboards and television and radio shows. Folks, that's not only very costly, but it's also, you cannot connect with your audience. You don't know how many people saw your commercial. You don't know how many people heard your radio ad. You don't know how many people read your billboard. And there's no way to interact with them, right? Unless they reach out and contact you, and then you put them into your funnel, there's no way to do that. So you want to take a look at it. If you are advertising, you've got to advertise through a system that you can measure your conversion. So that would be like Facebook advertising, Google advertising, and take a look at how not only your exposures, but now your conversion rate, and then take a look at what your closing ratio is. How many new members do you have, and how do those new members stay on the books? All right. Now, record your metrics weekly in your Performance Club log. So if you haven't gotten into Performance Club, that's something we're going to talk about, because I think it is the most critical measuring tool for how the health and the growth of your Legal Shield business. Not just how long you've been in Performance Club, but how many of your team members have been in Performance Club. We are so certain right now, because I can tell, like if you're in the networking side of Legal Shield, based on not just how long you've been in Performance Club, but how many people you have in Performance Club, I can tell you about roughly within about $500 how much money you're making every single month. It's that specific. Now, if you're doing employee benefits, you would have to tell me, how many memberships you're selling, and then it's based on how much your retention rate. Like there's a lot of more metrics. I can't really tell you if you're doing employee benefits, how much money you're making. But a lot of people, that is a great space to build your Legal Shield business in as well. But record your metrics weekly. So just from a simple, in the Performance Club log, how many exposures did you do? So how many people did you introduce the Legal Shield membership or opportunity to in a week? Then your follow-ups, because nobody's going to sign up at first glance. I've never talked to anybody and they're like, oh my God, you sell Legal Shield? Sign me up right now. I don't think that's ever happened in over 18 years, right? I think maybe a couple times once people saw a presentation, if it was their first time seeing it, that they did sign up. But most often, people do not sign up at first glance. It takes anywhere between 5 to 7 glances before they make a buying decision. That's not just LegalShield. That's just on things in general. But if you record your metrics every single week, how many exposures you do, how many follow-ups you do, and then the conversion rate, how many become clients, you will see a ratio appear over time. And then we can work on your skill sets to improve that ratio, if that makes sense to everybody. So retention equals new acquisition. So once somebody, I just did this today with several members because they signed up for LegalShield in order to get their estate planning devices in order. So I asked them, how are things going with your law firm? You know, and two of them hadn't even called the law firm. One of them already has an appointment with their attorney to go over their will questionnaire. So that's great because if you know, put it in your notes. So in your prospect by LegalShield, whenever you have your contact, put in your notes why that member signed up as a member and or an associate. That way, when you're following up with them, then you know what they're talking about. So if somebody had, bought one of those lemon cars, what are they called? Where they bought the car and it was a piece of garbage, the lemon law. So if you know that that's why they're calling an attorney, follow up with them with their pain point. Did you talk to an attorney about the car yet? And if they're like, no, I haven't called an attorney, be like, hey, when I talked to you, that was a really important issue is that this car broke down. You spent all this money on it. How fast, can we call an attorney today to get the ball rolling? You want to encourage member usage because the more they use it, the retention increases. Now, when somebody has I try to jump on this immediately through two avenues. One, if somebody tells me they talked to their law firm, the attorney wrote a letter or made a phone call on behalf, and their situation was resolved, I ask them, one, would they share that testimony on my Google page? So I'll send them a link where they can share their testimonial. Two is that once I have that testimony in my either Facebook business page or in Google, I'll take a photograph of that and I share it on my social media outlets to basically tell the world, hey, here's a person who had a situation that was resolved because they used LegalShield. Now, a lot of times people, again, sign up for one issue. So you can introduce them to plan upgrades and family add-ons if they have some other situations. Let's just say that in the initial conversation, you didn't know that they were driving for Uber or Lyft. Now you can introduce them. Now that you've learned this information, now you can talk to them about the add-on of protecting their business through that ride share delivery app add-on. So same way as like a gun owner's plan, right? Or perhaps, they had more identity theft, they needed a family plan for ID Shield. They only signed up for an individual plan, as an example, right? The best new client is the one who stays and refers others always. So your growth goals for 2025, we're closing up the end of this year. And if you start implementing these systems now, write down your business plan, you know, write it down now because the business plan is not just etched in stone. This is a living, breathing document that's going to change. And as you see your ratios change, now you can adjust your business plan. And I tell you what, if you ever need to go to a bank for any type of money, maybe you want to add your car to your business, so on and so forth. As an example, if you've got a clear-cut business plan here, you're going to see that what you focus on grows. So look at 20% new member growth year after year. And if you're just getting started, this is even better because now you can implement these systems as you're building your business. And maybe you're like me, maybe you've been in the business 18 years and never really taken your business seriously. Now is the ideal time to sit down and draft out that business plan. And we're going to be working on this for the next however many years you're with me, right? But every week we're going to come back and talk about another aspect of your business plan, your whole business plan, until we get to a place where we can now monitor it to reach the level of success that you're looking for, right? So let's go out. It is right now basically we have a little over a week before the end of October. So I'm going to challenge everybody to enroll 3 new members, not just this quarter, but this month, because I want everybody in Performance Club, right? And we have a challenge that we're going to be putting out here later called the Rise of the Empire Challenge. But that's going to be something that we're going to slate for 2026. We're not going to launch into it right now. But if you want to participate, you don't even have to be on my team, all right? We're all in the Legal Shield family together. So let's build this. So take action today. Here's what your homework before the next week. Identify your top 3 target client types. Age, what do they do professionally? Are they in a family? Do they own a business? 3 target client types. And we're going to focus on 2 acquisition channels this week, right? Primarily, if you're brand new with us, I want to talk about that. We're focusing on word of mouth, reaching out and talking to people to build your business. All right. And you may talk about, if you're actively using social media, we may talk about building a Facebook business page and or your LinkedIn business page, right? Don't use either your personal LinkedIn or your personal Facebook for your business. And then track your results and share them with your mentor, your upline. So I love this quote. Best time to grow your business is right now. And so I'm excited for you to be here with me on this first episode of Wind Up Wednesday, and look for another one coming next week as we continue to build our Legal Shield business together. This is Chris Ward from Golden, Colorado, signing off.